You know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm liking Take a I am really with Don Fallis as his manager, he looks like the surly heel in a kung fu movie. They had the live interview, Tony Schiavone in the ring and with Don and his new protege. And of course, the question was, why? Why, Don? Why? And they're doing the thing with Dominic, or the thing they do with Dominic and the WWE, the fans, they're doing that with Don Fallis now. They are booing him out of the building anytime he tries to speak.
Although, did you see some of the fans they focused on? They were hamming it up in a way I've never seen before in wrestling.
Well, yeah, it's the thing to do. And somebody on Twitter, I can't remember, I don't even know if I notice everybody's name, and I don't know who some of these gimmick names are anyway, but somebody on Twitter said, my God, this is molten level heat like the territories used to have. No, please, I'm saying I like this, and I'm about to put it over. And I'm not saying that the people weren't screaming and booing and drowning Don Fallis out, and that it was way more reaction than anything else on the program got. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying this is not molten nuclear heat. If you saw the people, as you said, even if they weren't hamming it up because they see the floor camera in front of them, and that's a large part of what these fans are doing, they're doing it because it's the thing to do. They're doing it because they're probably mad in storyline that Don turned on Kenny, but also they know that they're being part of the show and it's in fun, and you see some of the people doing the thumbs down and booing while they're smiling. I can promise you that is not the boo the heel out of the building heat from the territories, because that was accompanied by people that legitimately would have gone up to Don Callis and stuck a fucking knife in him if they knew they could get away with it.
Or at least kept some distance and thrown a battery.
Or it kept some thrown a battery, or a jar of Vaseline, or a goddamn whole flashlight, or one of those shoes. I got a jar of Vaseline thrown at me in Cleveland. in the 80s, remember? No, seriously.
I don't know this story. No,
in the 80s, they were still the metal, what's the brand of Vaseline? You know the jar that
I know the look. I don't know the name of it.
The brand name of Vaseline in the little squat jar. And I'm trying to remember the brand name now. Goddamn, somebody out there screaming at me. But anyway, in the 80s, it was still the metal, like the aluminum lid that you would pull off, and the jars were still glass. And it's about as big as your fist, and women would keep them, and this was the wintertime in Cleveland. Women would have these things in their purse. And that's what they would throw, is whatever. They didn't have a steady supply of shit laying all around them. So you got, like you said, batteries, flash cubes off Instamatic cameras, wadded up cups of ice, things that were in the arena or things that were in their pockets or purses. And many times somebody would say, I don't need this Vaseline. I don't need this flashlight battery. I don't need this whatever I got in my purse, as bad as I want to throw it at such and such heel. But anyway, nevertheless, I'm either that or maybe she saw that my lips were chapped. But anyway, Don was saying that he is the real victim, and he was trying to explain it. He couldn't get it out, and then he starts working it because he can't get it out, and that's part of the deal. Is it just elongates how the whole explanation finally gets out, but he's screaming, I lost a nephew, but I gained a son, because Take a Shit is better than Ricky Dozan or Inoki, Maeda, Okada.
Didn't name Baba. I was surprised.
Didn't name Baba. Well, I guess he figured Mrs. Baba's still around, isn't she?
No, I think she died.
Did she die? Okay, well, then maybe he's safe. Otherwise, she'd have got him.
Is she still alive? Hold on now. I don't know.
I don't know. I thought she was.
Mrs. Baba. I wish Masahori was here. I could ask him. He would know.
Motoko. Is her first name.
No, she passed away. She did indeed pass away.
Oh, what year?
She passed away 5 years ago.
Okay.
She's buried in an urn the shape of Johnny Ace. What?
Hey!
No, I'm kidding.
All right, it's been 5 years. At least they didn't Randy Atcher mean he's been gone for 17 or whatever. But Again, then Take speaks in Japanese, and I like this pairing. I've been a fan of Don Callis in the 90s and until he, just picked the wrong people to hang out with, and you can't make Twinkle Toes palatable. But remember, Take has plenty of athletic ability. I don't know what he's going to learn around this bunch of lunatics, but he's got something, and Callis can talk. And the only thing I don't like about this is they're still cutting a promo on Harpo, so they're going to have that match. So that I can't look forward to that, but we'll see what happens with Phallus and Take a Shit going forward.
I thought, first of all, in terms of Takeshita, let's call him his real name here. It'd also be easier on YouTube. In terms of Takeshita, you know what? I really like him. He's got size. He has an intensity. He was out there and he didn't look ridiculous. I buy him. I think there's someone you talk about who could be a future star for this company. Spend time on him.
There you go.
He's got something. Callis, I'm not a Callis fan, and I think he's ridiculous. Can't deny there was a reaction, although, again, it's different than... When you see the Dominic reaction, that started organically. This felt...
Right.
Again, there was close-up. At one point, there was like 3 fans. I swear, there was almost like they were actors. It was almost like they were acting. I would have thought there was plants that Tony hired for this, but it couldn't be.
I guarantee you, because they know when everybody's smart now to television. When there's a guy with a fucking television camera positioning himself 6 feet to your right, you know you might be in a shot. And when the red light comes on, the tally light, they're hamming it up.
But the other thing is the explanation. I'm not digging that either. I've lost a family. You cost me family. No one knows what the fuck he's talking about. So I don't
I didn't care about any of the content of it, just the idea that he had to scream over it, and I like the pairing. But there's still no explanation that makes any sense.
You know, the entire BCC Elite feud has been poorly built up. Poor explanations for everything from Danielson to whatever else this is. The let's avoid CM Punk feud. Let's really call it what it is. I think there's more, and you saw it here in terms of heat, whether it's real or manufactured. There's more heat on Callis and Omega's thing than anything with the BCC and the Elite. This is something people care about. He's been with Omega since early on in the company. Daly's Place, I remember seeing him, I think, the first time. So they've seen this story play out. The BCC thing just felt like a rushed, pushed feud for no good reason. Danielson says, I have a question, and we want them to be better, and none of this makes any sense or resonates with anyone. But Callis turning on Omega did. And again, as goofy as Callis is, Takeshita was dead serious, and I loved it. And again, put him over where it's right. Shivani was used properly as an interviewer on this show. Get him out of the commentary booth. He doesn't add anything there. Use him like this. Perfect way to use him.
But you just stumbled on something also. And Take was serious, right? Take you can believe in him. Don can be buffoonish if his guys aren't as buffoonish or more buffoonish. When he's with the Buckaroos, come on, and when he's with Kenny, you can't take Kenny seriously. He doesn't mean anything he says. He's not an intimidating personality. He does acrobatic wrestling moves for the people that like that kind of thing, but you don't think this guy's a fucking menace to society. He'll go off and hurt somebody. He's not somebody you can't wait to listen to his promos because of the over-the-top personality he's got. What blah, blah, blah. He's just goofy, and they don't, as we've said, they somehow, all of them in that group, manage to do whatever they do with their tongue in their cheek where you know they're not serious about it or they just don't give a shit. Whereas the manager can be, and sometimes should be, buffoonish with a serious guy under his control, so he provides the comedic relief. There's no need for comedic relief when the whole group is comedic at one point or another. So that's why at least Don could be more serious with this fucking guy. And maybe they'll put him in with the people he can learn something from, too.
Again, I wish there was a better explanation that made a little more sense or was a little easier to digest or explain, but I think this is the best thing I've seen Callis do in AEW.